y'all, and welcome back to my channel. And welcome to a different sort of, I always hate it when I do that because you're just like, welcome to a different video. Obviously it's different if I've never done it before, and obviously most of my content is fashion and makeup related, so it's not that different. But today we are going to be talking about makeup that I used to love. I went through, I racked my brain, Soraya of however long past, of products that I really loved that were like my end all be all through the years. And we're going to talk about whether these things are still end all be all. Where are they now, in my opinion, and in my much more experienced makeup whatevers. You know, things that are just like, you know, that I used to love, and things that are now kind of just not so much. So we're going to start off with one that's been getting a lot of press recently on my channel because I recently tried to use them and recently realized that they're total crap. But the Kat Von D shade and, sorry about that, some kind of malfunction. The Kat Von D shade and light quad mini things. I used to be the biggest fan of Kat Von D's formula, and these were a product that I was so happy to have, and I used them and they were great, and apparently they weren't. These are just so powdery. You know, they're the kind of powdery that, like, oh my god, it's just everywhere. They're kind of pigmented, but they're the kind of pigmented that, like, just wants to stay in one place. They don't really want to blend. They don't layer well. They don't work well together. Like, if you're doing this whole thing and then you're wanting to go all up out in there, no. They absolutely do not like, but no, just blending, no. Muddying, yes. You know, kind of just sticking there and staying, and they were just, I was horrified because I'm sitting there, I was gonna film, and I was like doing my makeup, and I'm like, I'm so freaking frustrated right now. And that doesn't happen to me a lot of times. Usually, like I said, I use what I love and it's all good and great, and I was just like, that's it, I'm not gonna film, I'm just gonna seethe in my anger. So if any of y'all still see some of those popping up at Marshall's, just walk away. Just walk away. Something that's kind of like it was, I don't want to say sentimental, but I recently have been watching Jen Loves Reviews Declutter, Teresa is Dead, Abby Williams, you know, like all of that, and I've been getting all reared up for my declutter. And I made the decision that I need to declutter the Urban Decay Original Naked Highlighters. Yes, those travesty of a huge oversized packaging glitter bomb highlighters. Now, I used to love these, probably because I didn't know how to use makeup at the time. I got into highlighter before really knowing what to do with it. And so I had these, and I was like, every time I'd swatch them, I'm like, well, look, that's nice and glittery and shiny. You know how you get when you're going through your stuff and you swatch it and you're like, well, that's really pretty. I would like to have that on my face. And then you never use it because in reality, it's just, oh my goodness. I pulled one out and I was like, okay, today's the day. I'm gonna be a beautiful, celestial, ethereal fairy goddess. That was most definitely not the outcome. There was just glitter everywhere in the worst kind of way. Like, you take the highlighter brush and you're all like whoop on that high points, and then apparently it just likes to migrate all around everywhere. Like, you do the one side and then you look away from the mirror to get more highlighter, and you look back and it has gone from here to just everywhere. I mean, that highlighter was not so much a highlighter as it was just a glitter bomb. And now that I know what I like in a highlighter, and if I'm gonna have glitter, I got the formulas that I like, I just know. Because it doesn't stay. It doesn't stay. It just moves around so blinking much. And then the illuminate, they're very powdery, they're very dry. I'd held on to them for so blinking long, and now I have enough makeup to where I can see you weren't very good to begin with. You need to go. Another highlighter that it's not an awful formula, it's just a formula that I've become kind of disillusioned about. And that is the Jeffree Star Skin Frosts. You know, when those released, everybody lost their minds. Like, look at how much highlighter you get. And he made a blue one, and a puce one, and a green one, and a black one, and I mean, I admit I was one of those people. I wanted deep freeze and mint condition so freaking bad. They were always sold out because people were going crazy, and $29. Real talk, I did end up getting deep freeze and mint condition, and I've decluttered both of them because they're hideously impractical, and I hate the whole like, we'll use it as an eyeshadow, and I'm like, this is a big, why am I holding on to this ginormous thing the size of my face for an eyeshadow when I can hold on to a palette that's just as big? The whole use it as an eyeshadow justification only works for things that are like that big. I still have a few. I've got Ice Cold. I've got Peach Goddess. I've got the Manny MUA one. I really like that one. But like, I used to love and rave about them, and I was like, these are the most amazing whatevers. And they're nice. They're blinding, but they aren't the most smooth. They're a much thicker formula, so they're not going to give you that like translucent veil of highlighter. They're not a healthy glow highlighter. They're a turn your face and then have the light hit off your cheek, and then it goes all Death Star laser beam and destroys a planet. So it does have that going for it, but it's a very unnatural. You have to like work a lot to make it like blend into your whatevers. And so just now that I've like been a lot more experienced and I'm a little bit more realistic and a little disillusioned with whenever you're like, you fall out of your craziness, you know, so I'm not as like die hard super like Jeffree Star, everything he does it touches it turns to gold. That just ain't the case. And it's not one of the, I mean, if you have perfect skin, or if you're a raver, or if you're just like that, yeah, sure, the cha-cha is there, but the healthy illumination is not there. And that's something that I like cha-cha without looking healthy, dewy, glowy, delicious. And I just hung on to them for the longest time to be just all like, yeah, you know, I'll use them. No, not even sure how long they're gonna last. Then the Too Faced chocolate bars. Now, when I first started my makeup journey, I was very much under the vein of I had to have in my possession what everyone loved. So the classics, Urban Decay Naked, Lorac Pro palettes, Too Faced chocolate palettes, you know, just kind of all that thing. And if y'all know, the Too Faced, the original, and the semi-sweet are neutral. Just neutral. They were created in a time where, I mean, neutral is still the thing for a lot of people, I understand. But they were created at a time where kind of going crazy and doing crazy colors wasn't really a thing. You know, we skewed on the warm and the browns and the taupes and the sage. And so kind of going in, it wasn't really my thing, but I told myself, so many people love this. It's a staple. It's a classic. It may be a staple, it may be a classic, but I don't like them. They're just like, I have come to learn that Too Faced, a lot of mainstream brands, do not possess my favorite eyeshadow formula. Their mattes are okay. Their shimmers, depends on the palette you get. And I recently had to come to terms with myself and be all like, well, I'm a YouTuber and I need these for reference. And I'm like, well, what's the point in having them for reference if you never even use them? Just didn't make a lot of sense to me. So they have been decluttered, and you're just looking at them and you're just like, it's taken me the longest time to honestly come to terms with who I am as a makeup person, to be all like, okay, at this point, I can get rid of it. I don't need to hold on to this thing, you know, because why would I like use and promote a palette that I don't even like? It's just, I just had to get rid of them. And like I did, like back in the day, I was like, these are so amazing. They're such a staple and it's great. I'm sure it has to do with experience, how much makeup I have, you know, makeup I've gone through, where we've just come to the realization, no, they're not that fantastic. They are for some people, not for me, and they're just nothing that I think is amazing. And something else where it's definitely not a case of the product being bad. It's simply a case of my interests shifting, or my taste, or my likes, or my preferences. But the BH Cosmetics Carli Bybel palette. Now, not the little one. I got in on that big one they released, and I reviewed it. If I can find reviews for at least that, I will leave that down below. That's a real throwback. And at the time, I really liked it. It was this kind of like peachy, light, soft, you know, and every time I'd use my makeup, I really liked it, you know, and it was in a favorites video and I gave it a favorite, but the highlighters were beautiful. If I could find a way to literally like cut out, or maybe I could depot them. The highlighters in that palette, they are amazing. And the eyeshadow quality is really nice. But for me and how my tastes have evolved and grown and whatever, there's not enough depth. This is a very like soft and ethereal and not so much natural, but a more delicate eyeshadow look. And y'all know your girl ain't going for delicate here. And so there's just not enough depth, like gradient, you know, like I want something to really, really deepen it up, and there just isn't enough, even though that thing is huge. There's just not enough in it for me to really get the kind of looks that I would want. So if you like a more softer, gentler, whatever, the quality is really nice. The mattes are beautiful. The shimmers are very cha-cha-cha-cha. But for me, it's just not something I've been reaching for. And it's you know, it's good quality-wise. It's just not for me, color story and color depth wise anymore. Another one that if any of y'all have been with me, and some of y'all have, since the beginning, y'all would remember that my end all be all holy grail primer was the Almay Smart Shade primer. As someone with dry skin, this was the primer that saved my life. It was just hydrating and just really nice. And for the longest time, I kept using it. I kept repurchasing it because it was my favorite. Almay is not cruelty free. And so like for the longest time, y'all would remember, I was like, if y'all know a good hydrating primer that's cruelty free, let me know, hit me up. And it was only until recently, the Milk Makeup Hydro Grip Primer that has become my new end-all be-all formula. And then I had like a little bit left in the one. I was like, you know what? I might as well use it up, get an empties out of it. And I tried it. And let me tell you, I'm not sure what my makeup was looking like. Like every time I go back to these products that I try them now and they just don't work for me, I'm like, what did I look like? Why didn't anyone tell me? What did my face look like? And so I tried that again, and it just wasn't smoothing out lines, wasn't as hydrating, didn't make my foundation look smoothy smooth and not cakey. I'm not sure if it's just because my skincare is better now, or which if your skincare is better, you'd think your face would be good to something because your skincare is better. But I don't know. It was a whole favorite that just ended up, I used it again. I was like, no. We'll never go back to that. Even if it was cruelty free, we'd never go back to that. Then something else that I spoke favorably of. It's funny how your interests shift and you can think and look back to the things that you were like, yes, those are amazing. And they've maintained, like the Hydro Grip Primer, the Natasha Denona blushes, Laura Geller blushes, Modern Renaissance, Soft Glam, you know, things that you have that have maintained their status throughout the years. And then I have something like the Milani strobe blushes. They're like kind of a blush, I'll picture all that jazz, but they've got a couple different shades integrated, and I got like an illuminating strip, and they're like, these are good if you're really pale and if you like a very faint, just kind of a hint of color on your cheekies. If you're any deeper than me, good luck. Good freaking luck. And also, these blushes are not only is the pigment level not necessarily baked blush formula or even their rose blush formula, they are incredibly hard pressed. Like we're talking harder pressed than Tarte. And you're just digging your brush all up in there, and you start off with the cute little and you're like, there ain't nothing there. And then you're just jagging your brush into this thing, hoping to God that there'll be some sort of pigmentation on it. And then inevitably you realize that there isn't, and they sit in the back of your drawers because you aren't willing to declutter them, because maybe someday I'll use them and I bought them and I have issues with separating collections. So yeah, they're a blush formula that I'm just kind of like at the time I was like, oh, they're so pretty and natural and beautiful. I feel like at the time I was just into liking everything I had, whether it was actually good or not. It was just kind of like, I don't know. I'm much more discerning now. Then another product that's going to surprise y'all, because once again, this was a end all be all. Y'all need to go out and buy this. I love it. It's absolutely amazing product. But the N Wild Photofocus foundation, when that foundation came out, people lost their minds. I was one of them. I was like, this is the best foundation that ever existed. It's amazing, regardless of the fact that it literally smells like paint stripper. And I haven't touched it in a really, really long time. And then I did, and I was like, what happened? Like when you have a complexion product that you use after your complexion has become better, you're like, wow, what did this look like when my complexion didn't look like this? What did this look like when I wasn't doing good skincare? And it's just an okay foundation. They have released a like hydrating luminous one that I'm super interested in trying, but I honestly have way too much foundation that I don't need to buy anymore. So, but if any of y'all have tried that and like it, definitely let me know. But this was just, it's just like, it's okay. It's not very healthy looking. It's very flat. It smells bad, you know? I mean, it's just not really my thing anymore. It's just, like I said, I hate how I'm like slouching. Like it's just kind of okay. And especially compared to something, because now I use the Physicians Formula Healthy Foundation. Compared to something like that, it's just very underwhelming. Then something else that I feel like used to be a favorite of mine just because they existed. Like nowadays, because back then I was very big on holding on to things whether I used them or not, you know, and I would be like, oh, this is great, this is amazing, even if I didn't use it because I was stupid. But a collection, a myriad of those Too Faced little palettes. We're talking the the macaroon one, the peanut butter and jelly. They did that peanut butter and honey. Like we're talking like way back, like the kitten palette and the natural matte before it was formula. We're talking those. And they weren't anything that I'm reaching for. And I was slowly going through and weeding them out and being like, why do I even own this? Why am I holding on to this? And I know it's because of the collector in me and the whole separating them and having them all and everything like that. But I'm like, what's the point? What's the point if I don't use this? Too Faced doesn't have, once again, my favorite formulas. These things are old. I mean, they're just like, they were okay. You know I used some of them a couple times, but like looking back on it, and I'm like, now, if I were to use them, they just wouldn't hold up to my expectations. They wouldn't be, you know, ColourPop. They wouldn't be Jeffree Star. They wouldn't be Viseart. You know, they're just okay. And, you know, over the years, I've been able to kind of step back and emotionally detach myself from the possession of the makeup to what it actually does, and it doesn't do that much. All right, Kat Von D Studded Kiss lipsticks. When young, goth, early alternative Soraya, we loved Kat Von D for an aesthetic. She was the makeup brand that spoke to my poor, sad, goth, suffering soul. And as such, I mean, I remember the hunt I went on. My friend Cameron can tell you, he and I went all over the place looking for Poe, you know, because it's like this blue metallic-y whatever, and it's named Poe, and the inner goth in me was like, I'm so unique. I read Edgar Allan Poe. I was kind of cringy and pretentious back then. But I have probably over 20, and I've decluttered a lot of them. And whether my declutter is up now or later, newsflash, sneak peek, I'm probably going to be decluttering all but maybe 5 of them, because I don't reach for bullet lipsticks, and I understand that these are her old formula. She reformulated them, which made me so mad because I spent all this time trying to collect all the shades because I have an issue, and then she's like, oh hey, we're reformulating all of them, and I'm like, but I have them now. Why are you making them better after I spent all of this whatever trying to get them? Yeah, your girl was not a happy camper. At least I was able to overcome my I was like, okay, if they're reformulated, they're better. I should get the ones that I really like that are reformulated. I'm like, stop it. Don't think like that. No. And I used to use her lipsticks exclusively, and now I hardly ever use bullet lipsticks, but like I like something. Her formula is very dry, even her new one. It's like pigmented, but you gotta really press and drag to get that pigmentation, so they're not fun to use. But I used to love them, and I got a bunch of them, and if she would turn some of the shades that she has in the bullet lipsticks into liquid lipsticks, I would be the happiest camper alive. The next one is one, once again, like I feel like my makeup evolution in 2019 has been so like fantastic. Like I'm really been learning to know what I love and what I like and what works for me. And I had purchased the ColourPop concealer and I was like, this is so great, I love it. And this is when at a time I was bouncing back and forth, like one day I'd use Kat Von D, one day I'd use ColourPop, one day I'd use Jeffree Star, Fenty, you know, all that. And I was like, this is great, this is wonderful, whatever. And then I went back to Shape Tape, which is what I wore, what I got today. And I put it on my face and I was like, wow, I guess there is a reason why everyone likes this, because it just blended so beautifully into my foundation. It was smooth and light and beautiful. Like the area where I have the most texture on my face besides this dry spot is right up here on my non-existent cheekbones. And so that's where we do the concealer thing and the highlight thing, and just the way it like didn't accentuate texture or lines or anything like that. I was blending it and it just blended like a dream. And then, you know, you have that concealer and then I went back to the ColourPop and I was like, what was I thinking? What did my under eyes look like? It's like just a lot more drying and not as nice, and just like I have been trying desperately to use up my Tarte Shape Tape concealer, and I've been using it exclusively for probably around 6 months, and there's still so much freaking product in it. I mean, there's so much product in it. And so the ColourPop is one, I think I did it in a favorites and I was just like, this is the best thing ever. And I'm like, not so much. Then another thing that I used to love, and this isn't because it's like, oh, it's a bad product, I don't love it anymore. It's I know myself better now, but the original Urban Decay Naked, those little highlighter, bronze, and blush quads. I went to an Urban Decay event. I'm sure some of y'all have already heard this story. And I went and they did my makeup, and the makeup artist, she took one of them, I don't even know which one it is, she went and I looked so healthy, so glowy, so flushed, so beautiful that I was like, give them all to me now. And I could never quite recreate what she did. My looks never looked as good as whatever. I don't know. I mean, that's why I'm not a professional makeup artist. And, you know, at the time, I was just like, yeah, this is great. It's Urban Decay. It's fantastic. And I need to have all of them, even though they're obviously and clearly set for different skin tones. That didn't matter a ding-dang thing to me back in the whatever. Oh, this is bronzer, is basically black. I need it. And so these, it's not that they're bad. You know, I feel like they're very outdated. I don't know if they've been discontinued, but they're just like, it's like, that's another thing where I'm like, I gotta declare, I gotta let it go because I don't use it. It's an okay product. And if you love it, that's so fantastic. But like for me, it just isn't giving me enough anymore. And back then I loved it. You'd hope that I would have had more usage shown on them, but of course not. They were just like, I look at them and they're sitting there and I'm like, you know, it's essentially a face palette. That's another thing where it's just like, it's a face palette. It's got highlighter, blush, and bronzer, and they're not separated by pan sections, so there's that headache. And so it's just one of those things where I had to come to terms with myself that's like, Soraya, stop trying to tell yourself that you love everything in your collection. Be willing to grow and progress and have changing opinions and not feel bad about it. But these are just not your jam anymore. Just be okay with that. Thank the product for the joy it had once given you, then let it go. All right, y'all. That was me talking about products that I used to love. Obviously, with and you talk, see, this is what I hate. Whenever you have to say in a video and you're just like, well, everything, you know, well, this is my personal, everything is subject. Any video that I talk about anything in, obviously it's all preference and opinion and experience based. So if these are things that you absolutely love, that is absolutely fantastic, you know? I don't know why we always get so offended. Like I admit though, when someone's like, I'm not a big fan of modern Renaissance, I'm like, what? Because it's a product that I absolutely love and I'm very passionate about. So we just need to be more understanding that not everything is for everything and not everybody loves everything. But definitely let me know what you think about the products down below, and let me know a product that you love. You're like, yes, this is it, this is everything. And now you're just kind of like, It's okay. It's something that I can now move on from, move past. It's not my jam no more. But thank you guys so much for watching. I love you, and as always, keep it real. Mwah!